So as many of you that have been following the channel may know, I have been in a bit of an automotive rut since my Volvo era. In between that, over the past few years, I've owned some pretty serious junkers, some decent and some bad, but I've not been happy automotively and I've wanted to finally get into a nice car. Enough jibber jabber, so I present to you Klaus, my 2004 Mercedes-Benz E500 4Matic wagon. I gotta say, I'm pretty surprised to say that I've been owning a Mercedes-Benz for the past few weeks. But again, this is Klaus, my 2004 Mercedes-Benz E500 4Matic wagon. This one is painted in Mercedes's pewter metallic. Klaus is sitting at a hair over 171,000 miles, and I picked him up about 2.5 weeks ago in Kansas City. I'm not gonna tell you how much I paid for this until the end of this video, so you have something to look forward to towards the end. One of the many things I like about Klaus is how unique the wheels are. Most of these will come with 17-inch alloy wheels. I'm sure the AMG models could get 18s or 19s, but these are actually from Mercedes catalog back in 2004. Pretty rare because not that many people ordered aftermarket, well, accessory wheels for their cars. I really love the multi-spoke wheel look, and I was actually thinking about putting monoblocks on this, but because I know that these are a more uncommon sighting on a wagon and they give it some presence, I'm gonna keep them. I do think I'm gonna get them professionally refinished though. They're also wrapped around some cheap Iron Man, Chinese tires, so one day I'd like to put some nice, not aggressive, but something that's more suited to my driving style. One of the reasons why I didn't get into one of these earlier than I did was because I was a bit scared of the maintenance, so I think it's important to talk about what is good and what is bad with this car. And I know it's only been a week and a half with this car, but so far I have nothing terrible to report. I have had 2 hiccups, and one of them just happened now. My cylinder 5 injector. I'm just gonna run some injector cleaner through it and then see what happens. But this is the M113. It's a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8. It's a single overhead cam unit, and it makes 302 horsepower and 339 pound-feet of torque. I do have to say, even when this engine is misfiring, it still runs buttery smooth because it has 2 spark plugs per cylinder. 16 spark plugs. Also, that reminds me, shout out to my friend Max at MaxMerc and his YouTube channel for lending me the spark plug tool for this. E500s could get 2 different transmissions back in the day. The rear-wheel drive models, and that includes the wagons, could get a 7-speed automatic transmission. 4Matic models like mine could get a 5-speed auto, but both transmissions are really smooth. But I do know, because I've heard, the 5-speed is a little bit more reliable than the 7. And in terms of 4Matic, of course I would have explained that to you now, but I'm still reading up on how the 4Matic system works in these W211s. To my knowledge, this has a limited slip center diff and open front and rear diffs, and it uses the traction control system to distribute power. And also, if I remember correctly, it uses a 55 rear, 45 front bias when you're driving normally, but it can send power 70 rear, 30 front, and vice versa. Now, one of the things that I wouldn't say I was pressed on getting with a wagon or an SUV, but one of those creature comforts that I can't do without now is a power tailgate, but it opens up to a cavernous trunk, about 25 cubic feet of volume behind the second row seat, and up to 68 cubic feet of volume with the second row seat folded flat. That's actually pretty big and comparable to some SUVs of this time as well, and even bigger than some compact crossovers of today. I will say I've already used the wagon capabilities because I found out you can fit 4 wheels and 4 tires for an IS300 in the trunk of this. Of course, when you fold the things down, but that's not what I wanted to talk about originally. This is one of the other things that I really liked about station wagons of this era. The Volvos did this, and Mercedes did this as well. the rear folding third row seat, and I actually fit back here. Now, of course, this isn't a Honda Odyssey, even though the S211 Wagons look like a third gen Honda Odyssey. I have one, and I'm not dissing the Odyssey or this, but they look similar. But this isn't an Odyssey, but I can still fit back here. I'm 5'9", like a lot of you know. And I'm reasonably comfortable. The seat itself is pretty soft. There's no cup holders or air vents, but this is the third row of the station wagon. I like that I could say I fit 7 people in here, legally. And this isn't going to be a full review of any sort, but I did want to talk about the interior of this car. The rear seat is immaculate. It looks like no one has sat back here. Just like the front seats as well. I am actually going to use Leatherique to rejuvenate the leather on the interior. Shout out to my friend Christian. But the interior of this is already really nice to begin with. The seats are really comfortable. Headroom is abundant, of course, because the roof kind of goes up. Even though it has a sunroof, I don't think you could get a full-size pano moonroof on the Wagons, but you could on the sedans. I'm 5'9". Legroom is great. This is how I sit in the driver's seat. My knees fit. There's these nice little indents in the back of the seat, and I can fit my feet under the seat comfortably. There's map pockets. Everything still feels very well built as well. There's ashtrays for your kids or the homies. There's an armrest. There's no cup holders in front here, but there is a bit of a storage compartment. There's a lot of places to stash things in here. The E500 Estate gets 4-zone climate control as standard equipment, and I like that you have air vents not only against the center console, but on the B-pillars as well. So the rear seat passengers really get all the comfort they can get. This has the, I'd say, base seats. Both of these are 10 ways and full power. They are both heated, and this uses Mercedes Nappa leather. There was one of these that I was looking at that had a black interior, and I honestly think I like this grayer interior a little bit more. I also really like that both the driver and passenger have memory. I have memory for the driver's seat, steering wheel, and the mirrors, because this does have an electronically, well, because the car is off, it has a power tilt and telescope wheel. The steering wheel feels great. It's a 4-spoke wheel with real leather and real wood. I love the real wood on the inside of the car. Some of these with the sport package got rid of the wood. I like the wood because I think it's a little bit more me. The dual zone climate control works very well. The AC does work. This was one of my first cars in a little while that has had working air conditioning. Thank God. Of course, I do plan on replacing the head unit. This is actually pretty good. It has factory nav, and it is compatible for satellite, well, Sirius XM. And the sound system, this is a Harman Kardon surround sound system. It sounds fantastic, but because this will be my daily driver, I want to add Apple CarPlay and some better integration for the, well, this was in the 21st century, but I guess the 2010s. Or the 2020s. But everything else feels great in here. Even putting the car into gear feels so nice. Because this one has the Airmatic system, you can raise the car, which is actually pretty handy if you're gonna drive the car up onto ramps. And you can also change the firmness of the suspension as well. There's a Sport 1 setting and a Sport 2 setting, and both of those increase how tight the car feels and actually make a difference. The car drives fine with the misfire. Like, I don't really notice it. I only notice it sometimes, because sometimes I'll start it up and then it'll feel a little bit upset, but right now it feels totally fine. So it's very temperamental, but besides that, I've really enjoyed the car, and all the little things like maintenance with Mercedes, you gotta pay to play. This car is extremely comfortable, and that's one of the many things I love about it. Everything about it is admirable to me. The driving experience is completely different than anything I've driven before. Just the way how the steering wheel feels, the throttle, everything combined is just such an experience, and I feel bougie driving this. But I will say, the E500 was not my first choice. I wasn't even planning on getting a Mercedes. As many of you may know, I love the Volvo XC90, the first gen with the V8. I had one, and I was actually fixing to buy a newer one. And it was a scam. That was the first time I've been scammed. But it happened, and now I'm in a car. But it was weird. I kind of got discouraged with the whole XC90 deal because I was like, it's not worth trying to find something like this and going through so much hassle. I drove the QX4 out about 1,100 miles, and it did totally fine. I just realized it didn't have AC after the fact, you know, after the drive down. But it did fine otherwise, and this crushed the 16-hour drive back. But I got this car for just under $6,000, about $5,900. Most of the ones that I've seen on the market are over 10 grand, which is crazy for something that's 19 years old. But after driving it, it really does feel, you know, it feels worth it, of course. And to me, the price reflects on the things that this car needs, like the conductor plate, which I didn't know it needed until I got home, or really this injector, because it gave me no problems on the drive back. I guess all I really have to do now is look for fuel injector content for W211s. What are you doing? This guy almost hit me head on, but fuel injector content. I'm glad that I was able to show you around Klaus, especially now that this is a car that I've gotten and it's not taken 3 months for me to show you what it is because it's not been junk. But I've been very pleased with my Mercedes-Benz experience, and you will see a lot of content with him in the future. But thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Let me know if you have a W211 or S211 in the comments below, and stay tuned for that full video on Klaus. But I will see you guys in the next video. Bye peeps.